After 10 years of chopping wood, I am invincible. Chapter 41. Monsters also have wisdom. Meng Xing collected the money calmly, and then asked the restaurant staff to bring the pen, ink, paper, and inkstone. After researching the ink and spreading the propaganda on the desk, Meng Xing picked up the brush, thought for a moment, and wrote. The poem was still written in the night. Anyway, Lu Xiun didn't ask for anything, and Meng Xing didn't bother to think about anything else. Lu Xiun stared at him, looking at Meng Xing's pen nib seriously, with a thoughtful look. Soon, after writing the poem and putting down the pen, Meng Xing stretched. Junior brother, the characters you write are really charming. Every stroke, you are paying attention to each stroke. It is just natural, like it is meticulously crafted. Lu Xiun praised. Meng Xing said, Senior sister is wrong. This font has never been written before. How did you create it? Lu Xiun asked curiously. I met an old grandfather when I was young. He gave me a copybook, and I learned from that copybook. Meng Xing said casually. Is that copybook still there? I knew you would ask that. Meng Xing said. Later I accidentally burned the copybook. Fortunately, I have learned the calligraphy on this copybook, otherwise I wouldn't be able to make money from senior sister today. A pity expression appeared on Lu Xiun's face. This kind of copybook is a priceless treasure for scholars. This type of font has already created a calligraphy genre, but there are very few people who can create this genre. After chatting for a while and asking about the trick of calligraphy, Lu Xiun reluctantly left. Before leaving, Lu Xiun smiled sweetly. Junior brother, my 100 taels are worth it. What I learned from you today, plus this calligraphy and painting, are worth 500 taels cheaper. Thank you. Meng Xing felt a little regretful. If he had known this, he should have slaughtered her severely. Seeing Meng Xing and Lu Xiun chatting like friends, everyone was envious. In particular, Gu Qingzhou was so jealous that he was about to overflow with jealousy. For a chopping disciple with a lower cultivation than him, he actually won the favor of senior sister Lu, which was unimaginable to him. Looking at the sky, it was almost dark, so everyone planned to stay here for one night and go to the county office tomorrow. The next morning, everyone got up, had breakfast, and was about to go out. But he saw Lu Xiun holding a rice paper full of characters, came over, and said to Meng Xing, Junior brother, what do you think of the characters I wrote? Does it look like the thin gold body you wrote? Meng Xing read it carefully and said, Senior sister's writing has some charm. As long as you continue to practice, it will be similar to what I wrote. I feel a lot worse. I will continue to practice. By the way, where are you going? Lu Xiun said. Go to the county office to handle the case. Then you all go. Lu Xiun was not interested, and did not ask in detail, and went back to his room. Everyone left the Yuexian restaurant, came to the county office, and saw Ding Hai's hung senior brother. One by one saluted. Trouble all the junior brothers and sisters. Ding Hai said, there is really a lack of experts in this yamen, so I have to ask the junior brothers and sisters to come and help. In the county government, apart from Ding Hai's hung, who was a martial artist of the 8th rank condensing phase, and 1 or 2 arresters of the 9th rank open pulse, the others were ordinary people. Senior brother, you're welcome. This is also our training, Li Buxian said. Jinwuzong also stipulates that every 3 months must go down the mountain to practice for 3 to 5 days. Working behind closed doors will only limit one's own strength, and the vision is too low, and it is easy to be self-righteous. The more you practice, the more progress you will make. Gu Qingzhou said, Senior brother, where is the case? Liajia village, 30 miles west of Changning County. 2 groups of hunters went up the mountain to hunt separately, but they never returned, and no one returned home. 6 or 7 days have passed, and the villagers are so frightened that they dare not go up the mountain again. Hunting. Some villagers said that there were monsters on the mountain and they had already eaten them. Ding Hai said. How many people died? Gu Qingzhou asked. The first batch of 2 people, the second batch of 3 people, a total of 5 people. Ding Hai said. Senior brother, have you found anything? Li Buxian also asked. I took people to the mountains near Liajia village, and found that there are several bones in 2 caves. It should be those hunters who were swallowed by monsters. Ding Hai said. When everyone heard this, there was a creepy feeling. The monster eats people, and there are only a few bones left, which is really terrifying. But I searched for the monster for 3 days, but I didn't find the monster. The terrain of the mountain is complicated and the mountains are continuous. It is very difficult to find the monster. The place we searched was only near the Ligia village. I have already introduced the situation. Do you have any ideas? Ding Hai asked. Everyone looked at each other. The case was very simple. It was nothing more than a monster eating people, but there was no clue what to think. Gu Qingzhou wanted to provoke the main beam, and he couldn't be held down by Meng Xing, so he said, "Senior brother, let's go to the mountain to find it. As long as we find the monsters, we need to get rid of the monsters. We have more people and more power, and we will definitely be more powerful than you. It's easier for individuals." What you said was just nonsense, or it left everyone confused and didn't hit the nail on the head. Meng Xing complained in his heart. Ding Hai said, "Yes, but it may take more time to find it this way. The mountains there are too long, and the trees are lush, so it is easy to hide monsters." Gu Qingzhou scratched his head, not knowing what to say. Everyone looked at Meng Xing. "Senior brother, what is the purpose of the monster-eating people?" Meng Xing asked. Gu Qingzhou said, "What's the purpose of the monster-eating people? It's just that it's hungry. And when it sees a human, it wants to eat to fill its stomach. If so, why didn't it come down the mountain to eat the villagers, but only the hunters who went up the mountain?" Meng Xing asked. Gu Qingzhou's expression was stagnant. www.readwn.com said, "There are many people going down the mountain. This monster is also wise, afraid of being beaten to death, so he dare not go down the mountain to eat people, only eat the villagers who went up the mountain to hunt. Since this monster can eat several hunters in a row, it is obviously very powerful. It is very easy to drag a few villagers down the mountain to eat. Even if there are many people at the foot of the mountain, it will not be able to prevent the sneak attack of the monster." "How many people were eaten?" Meng Xing said. Ding Haishan's pupils flickered and said, "The monster didn't go down the mountain to eat people, but only ate the hunter, obviously because the hunter violated its territory." Meng Xing said, "Yes, it is also possible that there is something on the mountain that it cares about. Some places have been designated by it, and others are not allowed to enter. Once it enters its territory, it will violently kill people." Ding Haisheng nodded and said, "Junior brother Meng, your analysis makes sense. Therefore, as long as we find this site, we can find the monster." "Yes," Meng Xing said. Senior brother Ding found that there are several bones in the 2 caves, then these 2 caves may be the territory of monsters. Li Buxian said. Senior brother Ding entered the cave and was not attacked by monsters, which means it's not. Monsters also have wisdom, and they will come up with these things to confuse people, especially monsters who have reached the psychic realm, and children of 7 or 8 years of wisdom are also similar to human beings. Not much difference. Meng Xing said. Regarding the introduction of monsters, Meng Xing not only heard what Xiao Yuluo said, but also read a book, Monster Chronicles, in the library, which introduced the various realms of monsters. The monsters in the psychic realm meet in the 8th grade condensed phase realm, but their strength may also be stronger than the masters of the condensed phase realm, because most of the monsters have thick skin and rough flesh, strong strength, and some have scales to protect their bodies. Let's go to Ligia village first," Ding Hai said. Chapter 42, Monster. Everyone be careful. The crowd left the county office, left Changning County, and went west all the way. An hour later, everyone appeared in Ligia village and saw a continuous mountain range in front of the village, leading to nowhere. In such a vast and boundless place, looking for monsters is like looking for a needle in a haystack. "Junior brother, shall we go up the mountain to find it now?" Ding Hai said. "Let's find a hunter in the village and let him take us up the mountain. We also need to know where the hunters often go hunting," Meng Xing said. "Okay." Ding Haisheng immediately asked one of the hunters who followed to find the hunter in the village, and he also brought 3 hunters to help. Soon, a middle-aged hunter with a hunting bow was found, and the middle-aged hunter pointed the path, and everyone went up the mountain together. "The road on this mountain is too difficult to walk." Luo Yao frowned and said. "It's too difficult to walk, you can stay at the foot of the mountain," Meng Xing said. After walking along the sheep intestine path on the mountain for about an hour, it has penetrated deep into the mountain, surrounded by towering ancient trees, lush vegetation, and very quiet. After walking for another half an hour, the middle-aged hunter stopped and said, "We usually hunt within a radius of 50 miles, and we won't go any further. Because if we go deeper, it will be more dangerous. There will be powerful hunters in the deep mountains. Beasts, if you go deeper, you will be more likely to encounter wild animals and lose your life." Meng Xing looked around. It was very easy to hide monsters in this mountain, but it was very difficult to find them. "Senior brother, take us to the 2 caves where the bones appeared," Meng Xing said. "Okay," Ding Hai said. This time he would lead the way and cross to one side. After another half an hour, I came to a cave. There was less vegetation here, and a natural cave appeared among the rocks. "Junior brother, this is one of the caves, and there are bones in it," Ding Hai said. 1. Go into the cave. 2. Go into the cave with Luo Yao. 3. Carry 3 women into the cave. The 3 options appeared in front of Meng Xing's eyes, and when he saw the second and third options, he almost fell to the ground. "System, you are too serious. You even want me to carry 3 women into the cave. Why do you want me? Even if I don't need to do anything, it will be difficult to carry 3 women in, and I am afraid that 3 women will beat them to death and drown in saliva." Meng Xing decisively chose the first item, which is generally not dangerous. "Okay, let's go in and have a look. The others will wait outside," Meng Xing said. "Junior brother, I will lead the way for you." Saying that, Ding Hai's Hung held the hilt of the steel knife hanging on his body and walked in front, bent his body, and walked into the cave. Meng Xing followed behind, disappearing from everyone's sight one after the other. The task has been completed. Get a random reward, Constitution +1. After walking for a while, Meng Xing saw that there were a few bones in front of them, scattered in the cave, and there was nothing around. The cave was only the size of a small room. The bones were stained with some blood, which had solidified into black, and some ants were crawling around. Meng Xing checked it carefully and found nothing suspicious. "Senior brother, let's go to the next cave to see. There is nothing to discover in this cave," Meng Xing said. "It is good." The 2 walked out of the cave and took everyone to the next cave. The next cave was not far away. After a quarter of an hour, everyone came to the outside of the cave. There was also less vegetation around, so it was easy to find. Ding Hai's Hung and Meng Xing went into the cave again to check. The cave still had a few bones left on the ground, stained with blood and sludge. Meng Xing carefully looked at the surrounding cave walls and ground, trying to find clues. "Hey, there is a little white thing here." Meng Xing looked at the mud wall, reached out and touched it, feeling a little sticky, and then gently pulled. The white thing became a sticky filament. "Junior brother, it's normal to have spider silk here. Look over there, isn't there a tiny spider?" Ding Hai's Hung pointed to the side and said. Meng Xing looked, and sure enough, there was a tiny spider crawling around. Meng Xing shook his head and said, "Senior brother, this spider silk is a little different. It is more sticky. It's just that bigger spiders have stayed here," Ding Hai said. Meng Xing nodded. It was possible. After thinking for a while, Meng Xing said, "Is there a damp and dark ditch nearby? Or is it a shady cave near the river?" Ding Hai's Hung shook his head and said, "I don't know. You have to ask the hunter. Maybe you will know." The 2 walked out of the cave, and Meng Xing asked the middle-aged hunter this question again. The middle-aged hunter thought about it and said, "We often come to hunt in this area, but that kind of dark and humid place is rare. However, there is a crack more than 10 miles away from here, which will seep all the year round. Come out of the mountain spring. Take us to see," Meng Xing said. "Okay." The middle-aged hunter led the way. Gu Qingzhou complained a little, "Meng Xing, can you lead us to find that monster? Isn't it a waste of time to walk around like this? Can you find it?" Meng Xing asked. "No, this monster is hidden in this vast mountain, where it is so easy to find. We can only try our luck," Gu Qingzhou said. "If you don't, just follow me, or stay here by yourself," Meng Xing said. Gu Qingzhou's face was full of dissatisfaction, but he left with everyone. He wanted to see if Meng Xing had any way to find the monster, so he looked so confident. "If you can't find it, you can spit at him fiercely." A quarter of an hour later, when I came to the crack, it was said to be a crack, but it was actually a small ditch. From the rocks on both sides, mountain springs kept seeping out, forming a small stream. Meng Xing looked forward and found a cave www.readwn.com above a small ditch. How can there be monsters in such a place? Gu Qingzhou scoffed. At this moment, a white light lost out of the cave, followed by a few more white lights blazing out, just like a horse training. The target is everyone. Be careful. Ding Haisheng drew his knife out, slapped it with a single knife, and with a bang, Bai Guang flew back upside down. When? Li Buxian, Luo Yao, Zhou Ruoqing and others also drew out their long swords very quickly, blocking the white light one by one. However, they felt their arms go numb, and the long swords in their hands almost flew out. Monster? Everyone be careful! Li Buxian shouted. Gu Qingzhou hurriedly backed away, and cold sweat broke out on his forehead. Fortunately, someone helped stop him, otherwise he would have been hit by the white light. Boom! A thing fell from the cave and landed on the water surface of the small ditch, splashing everywhere. Everyone looked, and saw a mutant spider as big as a calf appearing on the stream, 8 eyes like copper bells staring at everyone, flickering fiercely, a huge mouth like a basin, covered with grim teeth. The mutant spider made a ho sound, and its 8 long limbs kept twisting. Such a big spider! Everyone was shocked. It was this big spider that killed those hunters. Luo Yao asked. It should be. Ding Haisheng said with a solemn expression, this mutant spider is a monster in the spiritual realm. Everyone, be careful, this monster can use long-range spider silk attacks, and its attack type is extremely strong. If you are not careful, we may have to explain it here. Everyone nodded, all focused on alert. Chapter 43, Kill the Mutant Spider. The mutant spider's 8 legs braced and its body arched, and it bounced to the shore. Everyone could not help but retreat. Ho, ho, whizzing. One after another spider silk spewed out from the lower abdomen of the mutant spider, turned into white pieces, and shot towards the crowd like sharp arrows. Junior brother, stand back. And stand behind everyone. Ding Haisheng said to Meng Xing. As soon as the voice fell, he moved, the long knife in his hand turned into a light curtain, and he slashed out at the spider silk. When? Many spider silks were resisted back. Li Buxian, Gu Qingzhou, Luo Yao and others also waved their weapons to resist. You guys are here, I'll deal with this monster. Ding Hai said. His body shot away, straight to the front of the mutant spider, and slashed it with a knife. When? One of the mutant spider's front legs stretched out like a sickle, blocking the knife, and the other front leg opened a sharp tooth hook and slashed at Ding Haishen's neck. Ding Haisheng swung the long knife to block the shelf, and continued to rush in to fight the mutant spider. The mutant spiders also spewed spider silk from time to time, shooting at Ding Haisheng, using various means. Li Buxian, Gu Qingzhou, Luo Yao, and other people from the true martial sect, as well as 3 fast catchers, also stepped forward and kept fighting around the mutant spiders. So many people dealt with this mutant spider, and it was a tie. Among them, there were only 3 masters of condensation realm. All rely on other people to resolve, only to get rid of the danger. Among the crowd, Ding Haisheng naturally blocked most of the pressure, and the mutant spider was furious and looked hideous. Boom! Ding Haisheng slashed on the back of the mutant spider with a knife. Qi burst out, sparks splashed everywhere, and the mutant spider was completely fine, but the 2 middle legs killed Ding Haisheng. Senior brother Ding, be careful! Meng Xing shouted. When? Li Buxian and Gu Qingzhou blocked their legs in time, and a few spider silks sprayed towards them, and the 2 rushed back. Ding Haisheng took this opportunity to chop at the lower abdomen of the mutant spider, and with a bang, he chopped the mutant spider upside down and flew out, hitting the ground. The underbelly of this mutant spider is also thick armored, and it smashed it flying, but nothing happened, but it made it even more angry. The skin is thick and the flesh is rough, and there are many means of attack. It is very difficult to kill it. Everyone has a headache, but there is no way, they must do their best, otherwise everyone will die. Ding Haisheng was also very fortunate that he had summoned so many junior brothers and sisters. If it were him and a few arresters, they would have been unable to stop them. The strength of this mutant spider is too powerful, comparable to the master of refining the gods. Senior brother, attack its 8 eyes. This mutant spider only has eyes as its weakness. Meng Xing said. Didn't you say it sooner? We can't hold it anymore. Gu Qingzhou said dissatisfiedly. I just found out that it has been protecting 8 eyes. Meng Xing said. Okay, let's attack its eyes together. Ding Hai said. As a result, everyone bombarded the mutant spider silk together, and the surrounding area was a mess, and many places collapsed. But the mutant spider was still unable to be killed. Instead, 3 weak women, Luo Yao, Zhou Ruoqing, and Yeswalian, suffered some minor injuries. And it is more difficult for everyone to deal with it, and there are many dangers. Meng Xing is a little speechless. Is this okay? These senior brothers are too weak? Do you want me to disguise myself as a white man and come out to help them? But in this way, it is easy to reveal flaws. He left by himself, and then Bai Xia appeared. He was still covered in black cloth and dressed in black clothes. Even an idiot could imagine that he was related to Bai Xia. So, using this trick won't work. Meng Xing thought for a while and said, Senior brother Ding, Senior brother Li, you stand in the middle and do your best to resist the attack of the mutant spider. Okay, the two agreed. After fighting for so long, both of them felt a little bit exhausted, and their spiritual energy was draining a lot. Although they didn't know what Meng Xing was going to do, they knew that he was always smart and would not let go of things, so he did as he was told. Everyone else is attacking from the flanks, blocking the 8 legs of the mutant spider. It only takes a dozen breaths. Meng Xing said again. Hurry up. If you don't want to die, just do as I say. Meng Xing said sternly. He could see Gu Qingzhuo's reluctance. Gu Qingzhou gritted his teeth and did as he was told, but he was about to be unable to support it. If this mutant spider can't be killed, they will be killed. Thinking of the few bones in the cave, Gu Qingzhou was still very scared. For a time, everyone blocked the attack of the mutant spider. At this moment, Meng Xing pulled out the long sword hanging on his body for protection, and rushed over, taking advantage of the moment when everyone blocked the mutant spider. His body flew up, the thunder spirit pulse in his body surged, and the long sword flew, instantly filled with thunder attribute vitality. Of course, the cultivation base that Meng Xing displayed was only the 5th order strength of the open pulse realm. Everyone reacted at this time, their eyes were astonished. Meng Xing wanted to take action by himself? This is taking a great risk. One bad, his small body is about to go in. Ding Hai's Hung was about to stop it, but it was too late. Meng Xing had already leaped over their heads and was throwing out his sword. Ding Hai's Hung roared angrily, Quick! Let's all do our best to fight for a chance for Meng Xing. Everyone broke out, and the sword in their hands slashed out frantically, blocking the attack of the mutant spider. Whoosh! Meng Xing's long sword slashed out, his air surged, swept past the 8 eyes of the mutant spider, and suddenly a flash of lightning surged and thunder exploded. This sword is extremely stunning, directly destroying the 8 eyes of the mutant spider. Boom! The mutant spider struggled furiously, and 2 sharp forelimbs with barbs swept out towards Meng Xing, shooting Meng Xing out. Meng Xing fell to the ground, 2 wounds appeared on his body, and blood spilled from the corner of his mouth. Yu reading www.uukansha.com. Although the blood on the corner of his mouth was forced out on purpose, the wound on his body caused him some pain. It's not easy for me to pretend to be injured, really. Is it easy for me to pretend to be weak? Meng Xing grumbled in his heart, baring his teeth in pain. Boom! Boom! The mutant spider lost 8 eyes, its weak point was eliminated, and it suffered fatal injuries. It struggled furiously, its 8 legs swayed wildly, and its abdomen was spitting wildly, but it attacked aimlessly, and finally poured into the creek. After struggling for a while, it stopped moving. Ding Hai's Hung, Li Buxian, Gu Qingzhou, Luo Yao, Yeswalian and the others all retreated quickly and watched in shock. Zhou Ruoqing reacted while retreating, hurriedly ran to Meng Xing's side, and helped the injured Meng Xing up. Meng Xing had 3 options in front of him. 1. Pour into Zhou Ruoqing's arms by pretending to faint. 2. Hug Zhou Ruoqing and take the opportunity to wipe the oil. 3. Said to Zhou Ruoqing, Ruoqing, you care so much about me, why don't we be lovers? Meng Xing decisively chose the first option, closed his eyes, and immediately pretended to faint and fell into Zhou Ruoqing's arms. Meng Xing, are you okay? Zhou Ruoqing exclaimed. The task has been completed, get a random reward, array +1 junior brother. Ding Hai's Hung, Li Buxian, and others also hurried over. Ding Haisheng looked at it for a while, then heaved a sigh of relief, and said, Junior brother Meng is fine, but just now he was severely attacked by the mutant spider, which caused the blood to be blocked and passed out. Senior brother, you are about to become a genius doctor. Meng Xing, who pretended to be dizzy, muttered inwardly. He was injured and left a lot of blood. I'll bandage him, Zhou Ruoqing said with some distress. Chapter 44, Treasure in the Cave. I have medicine here, you can smear it on the wound. Ding Haisheng took out a small bottle and said. As a result, Meng Xing felt a few gentle hands on his body, wiped the blood for him, smeared the wound medicine, and bandaged the wound. To his surprise, Luo Yao actually came to help. After tossing for a quarter of an hour, Meng Xing deliberately woke up and slowly stood up. Meng Xing, are you all right? Zhou Ruoqing said in surprise. I'm fine. I was almost shot to death by this mutant spider just now. Meng Xing gritted his teeth. The wound on his body was still painful. Fortunately, you shot wisely, otherwise we may not be able to beat this mutant spider. Zhou Ruoqing said gently. Cough. I got lucky. Thanks to everyone's help, I blocked this guy's full-strength attack. Otherwise, with my skills, how could I kill this terrifying guy? Meng Xing said modestly. Junior brother Meng, thank you. Ding Haisheng patted his shoulder and said gratefully. Unexpectedly, Junior brother Meng had the lowest strength, but he killed this mutant spider at a critical moment. Fortunately, he was extremely resourceful and planned well. Sure enough, regardless of strength, as long as there is enough wisdom, it can still play a great role at a critical moment. If you rely on everyone's brute force, I am afraid that you will only be able to escape or get injured, and you will not be able to kill this mutant spider. Ding Haisheng sighed in his heart. Yang Xiaochui also came over and patted Meng Xing's shoulder and said with a smile, Meng Xing, you are getting better and better. I am not as good as you. If there is anything in the future, just tell me. Yang Xiaochui, will do my best. Li Buxian, Luo Yao and others also came to thank them. This time, thanks to Meng Xing, everyone was able to escape easily. However, Gu Qingzhou said, thank you lightly, with little sincerity. He was still not convinced. If he came to do the last blow, he would definitely do better than Meng Xing. Meng Xing's ability to kill the mutant spider is also a credit to everyone. Otherwise, with the strength of his three-legged cat, he would have been shot to death by the mutant spider long ago, and he would have eaten all the bones. He will only use tricks. How can his real strength compare to himself? Therefore, Gu Qingzhou was a little unconvinced, especially since everyone regarded Meng Xing as a hero, which made him feel sour. The middle-aged hunter who was almost frightened by the mutant spider also came over at this moment, and was full of praise for Meng Xing. Young master, you are really amazing. Thanks to you, I avenged those hunters. Saying that, he kowtowed to Meng Xing a few times. Meng Xing hurriedly helped him up. How to deal with the body of this mutant spider? Li Buxian asked. Drag the corpse back to the yamen for business, and then contact the people from the Taoist sect to see if they need such a corpse for materials. If necessary, sell it to them. Ding Hai said. He ordered the 3 catchers to go and drag the body of the mutant spider up from the creek. Why does Daemon need something like this? Meng Xing asked strangely. They all need special materials to make magic weapons. With a shell as hard as this mutant spider, they can make special weapons or defensive armor, and sell them to other people in need, or to the army, and they can make a lot of money. Ding Hai said. Meng Xing nodded. The small copper in his arms was also a magical storage treasure made of special materials by Daemon. He looked up at the cave where the mutant spider was hiding, and 3 options appeared in front of him. 1. Go into the cave alone. 2. Take the United States with you, go into the cave and do what you need to do. 3. Tell others that there are treasures in the cave, but the treasures are their own, and others have no share. Meng Xing looked at the second option and had the heart to kill the system. This system is so rude. Is it easy for me to get better rewards? Are you sacrificing your color? Meng Xing decisively chose the first option. Wait here for a while, I'll go in and take a look at the cave. Meng Xing said. Okay, junior brother, do you want me to go with you? Ding Haisheng asked. No, that cave is no longer dangerous. Meng Xing shook his head. Ding Haisheng nodded. He knew that Meng Xing was not an impulsive person, and he would definitely not go in danger. Meng Xing jumped into the cave. The cave was dark and damp, and cold moisture could be felt from the entrance of the cave. It was the place where spiders like to live. Walking into the cave, I saw spider webs all around. The cave inside was almost 30 feet high, enough for mutant spiders to build webs inside. What treasures are there here that the mutant spiders care about? Meng Xing was a little curious and looked around. Hey, there is a flower tree here. How can it grow in such a place? Is this a treasure? I saw a very bright flower tree growing in the middle of the cave. The leaves of the flower tree are colorful, red, green, blue or purple. The color of each leaf is different, with a faint glow. Light. Meng Xing stretched out his hand, the branches swayed, and the leaves actually gathered towards his palm, rubbing gently, looking very intimate. Meng Xing was immediately startled. Darling, could this flower tree be a monster? Are you conscious? Meng Xing's palm moved away, and the leaves returned to their original shape, swaying gently. But as long as Meng Xing's palm is close, those leaves will gather and rub gently, revealing kindness. That mutant spider is just to guard this weird flower tree? Anyone who gets close to here will be killed by it? But why hasn't this happened here before? Could it be that the mutant spider came here not long ago, and then found this strange flower tree, and began to prohibit others from approaching? This is very likely. Meng Xing searched the surroundings again, but there were no other treasures. So, Meng Xing dug out the tall flower tree with its roots and mud, and threw it into the small copper storage magic weapon. Fortunately, the space for Xiaotong is large enough, otherwise Yu reading www.yuukangsha.com really can't hold it. Meng Xing was also worried that the flower tree would die, so he dug a lot of soil and threw it into the small copper space, allowing the flower tree to grow in it. This bizarre flower tree must be a treasure, and it cannot show its face and cause competition from others. However, I don't know if it can survive in the space. I have to buy a large flower pot and put it in the space. It is better to plant the flower tree in a large flower pot. Junior brother Meng, come out quickly, we are going to leave here. Ding Haishan's voice came. Okay. Meng Xing responded. There was a small lake in the cave, which was filled with spring water. Meng Xing washed his hands, came out, and jumped out of the cave. Junior brother Meng, did you find anything on it? Ding Haisheng asked. Yes. I found that the spider webs inside were all woven not long ago. This mutant spider came from another place and took this cave as its territory. Meng Xing said. Ding Haishan's face became solemn, and he said, could it be that the monster clan in the north was dispatched? Northern monster race. Meng Xing was a little puzzled. Yes, the monsters in the north, every few years, will drive the monsters under them to come to disrupt the Central Plains dynasty and cause a lot of trouble to Daqin. Ding Hai said. He saw the doubts in Meng Xing's eyes, and explained, there are generally two types of monsters in Daqin. One is those who rely on self-cultivation to reach the psychic realm and become monsters, but there are very few such monsters. It takes hundreds of years for such a monster to appear. The other kind is the monster sent by the northern monster tribe. These monsters are haunted, cross the border, harass various places in Daqin, attack ordinary people, devour the people, and cause death in various places. Chaos and disaster have weakened Daqin's strength. Meng Xing nodded, so it was. Chapter 45, First Credit, Share Money. The crowd also listened attentively. Li Buxian said, these monsters are really hateful. They attack ordinary people and devour them. They should all be killed. Yes. Ding Hai said, Daqin spent a lot of money and material resources in order to get rid of these monsters, but the monsters are powerful, occupying the northern countries, and they are not afraid of death, and their strength is much stronger than the human race. 100 years ago, there was a fierce battle between the Great Yin Kingdom and the Yeozu, and the Yeozu retreated to the north. Millions of humans and the Yeozu died in this war, and the Great Yin Kingdom and the Yeozu royal court were also severely damaged. Later, the state of Great Yin gradually weakened, the country was in chaos, and the people were miserable. It has been 50 years since the founding of our country in Daqin, and there are frequent wars with the demon clan. Many people have died in the war, and their lives are also in dire straits. So, the responsibility of those of us Sayuwazongmen is to kill those monsters and demons, so as to benefit the people of Daqin. Everyone nodded and looked solemn. Of course, There are such people in Taoism and Buddhism, but most of them are detached and don't like to deal with worldly things. So, it is our warriors of the martial arts system who play a key role in defending against the demons and demons. The crowd carried the corpse of the mutant spider and walked out of the mountain along the sheep intestine path. For those who practice martial arts, this kind of work is still very easy. Along the way, Zhou Ruoqing served Meng Xing next to him, and occasionally extended his hand to support Meng Xing, worried that he would fall. She is really a good, sensible girl, considerate and gentle. Meng Xing sighed with emotion when he smelled the fragrance from the girl's body. After walking for a while, Luo Yao asked, Meng Xing, how did you know the monster was hiding here? Everyone turned their heads and glanced. Obviously everyone wanted to know this question. This time, it was entirely because of Meng Xing that he was able to find and kill the monster so quickly. If you look around for a while, it may be difficult to find it if you rummage through the entire mountain range. After all, the monsters are hidden in the cave and will not come out easily. This requires understanding the habits of monsters. Habits. Luo Yao looked puzzled and said that she didn't understand. I found white spider silk in the last cave, which was very sticky, so I wondered if spiders appeared in this cave and ate the hunter. But generally spiders are very small, and the largest is only the size of a fist. So spiders can't kill people. I remembered the last time I went to the library with senior sister Xiao to read a book of monsters, which recorded the monsters of 8-eyed mutant spiders, so I guessed, could it be the mutant spiders? If it's a mutant spider, what's its favorite place to go? It is also recorded in Monster Chronicles that this mutant spider likes to live in a dark and damp place, so I asked the hunter brother. You all know what happened next. Everyone suddenly realized that every step Meng Xing took was traceable, but he was more careful than everyone else, paying attention to the rules, and even combining the knowledge he had learned to solve problems. In fact, most of the people present had read Monsters in the Jinwuzong bookstore, but Meng Xing was the only one who actually used it in practice. Luo Yao's face was a little ashamed. She has always claimed to be a genius, but she is not as good as Meng Xing in the ability to solve cases. Everyone went out of the mountain and returned to Liujia village. The villagers of Liujia village came out to watch one by one, gnashing their teeth when they saw the corpse of the monster, and the family members of those hunters even wept bitterly, kneeling and thanking everyone. Everyone felt a little uncomfortable, and the three girls were even more red-eyed, with tears in their eyes, full of emotion. After staying in Liujia village for a short time, everyone left, pulling the monster's body all the way towards Changning County, attracting the attention of many passers-by. Entering Changning County, it caused a great sensation, and many people followed behind the corpse of the monster to watch the few Yamen Shakui carrying the mutant spiders were very proud and high-spirited, listening to the praises of everyone in their ears. Their hearts were refreshed, and they were out of the limelight. One by one, they sighed in their hearts, and they also gained a lot of benefits by following Ding Caoto and the young warriors who followed Jinwuzong. At the entrance of the county office, the county magistrate, who had already received the news, came out with a smile to greet the people who returned from killing the demon. As long as they reported it to the court, they could get a lot of political achievements this time. The person who caught the red-clothed demon sect last time has already allowed the magistrate to get the award from his boss and tasted the sweetness. Ding Xiaoda's ability to handle cases has improved a lot recently, and he deserves a good reward. The county magistrate praised Ding Haisheng, Li Buxian, Meng Xing and others, and rewarded them with 1,000 taels of silver in public, which was double the original reward. Ding Haisheng took 1,000 taels of silver notes and brought 12 people to Yuexian restaurant, where he opened a private room to celebrate. When the restaurant owner saw Meng Xing, he naturally offered to provide food and drink for free. And this time Meng Xing, Ding Xiaoda, and others beheaded the monster again, causing a sensation in Changning County. The restaurant owner saw the business opportunity and hyped the Yuexian restaurant to celebrate the heroes and provided free food and drink, which made the reputation of the Yuexian restaurant again improved a lot. Everyone sat down in the private room. Ding Haisheng coughed and said, "This time, everyone will divide the money according to the credit for killing monsters. Do you have any opinions?" Everyone nodded. No opinion. Junior brother Meng is the first credit. Not only did he discover the monster, but he also killed the monster, and it is reasonable to say that he would get 500 taels of silver. But everyone has also helped a lot, so naturally, it can't be less. In this way, junior brother Meng only won 100 taels of silver, the rest will be divided equally. Do you have any opinions? I have no opinion. Everyone said. After all, they are all brothers and sisters from the same school, and everyone will not care about it. www.readwn.com. Moreover, everyone did not come for money, but mainly to hone themselves, and earning money is just a matter of unexpected joy. The past few times, everyone's horizons have actually broadened a lot, and they have gained a lot of knowledge. These are all valuable experiences that cannot be obtained by cultivating behind closed doors at Jianke Peak. As a result, Meng Xing got 400 taels of silver, and the others divided the remaining 600 taels equally. Ding Haisheng, who was originally the strongest, could get more, but he didn't want more. After dividing the money, everyone felt that they had enough confidence, and they were all excited, talking about the killing of the monster this time, and Meng Xing's stunning sword shot. This sword also reflects Meng Xing's wisdom and courage. If there is not enough planning, not enough courage, and not just right to destroy the 8 eyes of the mutant spider, there may be great danger. And Meng Xing, who is only at the 5th rank of Open Pulse Realm, may also be seriously injured or lose his life because of this. He literally risked his life to stab this amazing sword. When everyone talked about this, their hearts were full of fear, and they were sweating profusely, and they were full of praise for Meng Xing. Meng Xing just smiled and drank. He didn't agree with everyone's comments. He just said that without everyone, he wouldn't be able to kill the monsters. The credit is everyone's. Maintain an unarrogant, approachable personality. Of course, if he showed his true strength, he could easily kill this mutant spider. But it goes against his original intention of low-key development, and it is completely unnecessary. When everyone was full, they saw Lu Xiyun coming over and asked Meng Xing to come over and ask for poetry and calligraphy. Ding Haisheng was immediately envious. Junior brother Meng is going to defy the sky, but Xiyun also likes him so much. 1911, 6:40 p.m. Sundur, Chapter 46. Watch a good show. The next day, Meng Xing went alone to buy a large flower pot and a black face covering cap, and then put the flower pot and black face covering cap in a small copper storage space in an unoccupied place. After returning to the room, he planted the strange flower tree in the flower pot, poured some water, and put it in the small copper space. As for the black mask, it was for the next time he was pretending to be a white man. Every time he wraps his head in black cloth and only shows his 2 eyes, it's too low, and it doesn't match the chivalrous style of the white knight. Moreover, this kind of weird image is also easy to be misunderstood. If you encounter those high-strength and short-tempered guys, I am afraid that you will slap yourself to death without saying hello, which will be sad. At noon, Li Buxian, Gu Qingzhou, Meng Xing, and other members of the Jinwu sect returned to Jianke Peak. When Lu Xiyun saw Meng Xing returning to the sect, he followed everyone back, which surprised everyone. Lu Xiyun has always been alone. Even when he goes down the mountain to practice, he is often alone. He didn't expect that he would come back with everyone this time, which was the first time in history. This made Gu Qingzhou feel jealous again. In order to discuss poetry and calligraphy with Meng Xing, Sister Lu really changed her personality. So along the way, how Gu Qingzhou looked at Meng Xing was not pleasing to the eye. Gu Qingzhou couldn't understand why Xiao Yuluo was nice to Meng Xing, so why did the senior Sister Lu do the same? Could it be that Meng Xing was poured into ecstasy soup? If this guy has no appearance, he is also a scumbag in combat power. Except for a little talent, a little cleverness, and a little experience in solving cases, nothing else compares to him. Why would this guy be favored by 2 arrogant women? But it was on his head. Gu Qingzhou was really unconvinced, but he never thought of any way to suppress Meng Xing. Back at Jianke Peak, Meng Xing's life was as usual again. He chopped firewood for an hour in the morning, and spent the rest of the time fishing. He went down the mountain and brushed the system. In the afternoon, he went to practice with Xiao Yuluo. As for the flesh wound on Meng Xing's body, it's not a problem at all, it will be fine in a few days. Every day, Meng Xing took out the flower pot in the small copper, watered the flower tree, and teased the magical leaves of the flower tree. The colorful leaves would gently caress his hand, revealing kindness to him. The bizarre flower tree has always maintained a height of 1 meter 7, and its leaves will not fall. Even in a space magic weapon like Xiaotong, it will not wither, and its vitality is extremely strong. Sometimes, Lu Xiyun would also ask Meng Xing for poetry and calligraphy, and Meng Xing generally handled it casually. However, when Xiao Yuluo found out, he was greatly surprised. He didn't expect that the talent that senior sister Lu admired was actually Meng Xing. She really did not expect that Meng Xing's poetry and calligraphy were also so good, which made her impressed again. This afternoon, Xiao Yuluo did not go to practice, and asked Meng Xing to play the piano for himself in the yard. Lu Xiyun also came and wanted to listen to Meng Xing's tune. At the end of the song, Xiao Yuluo became interested and said, "Meng Xing, how about writing a poem for us? The title is not limited." She wanted to see how Meng Xing wrote poetry. Lu Xiyun's expression moved when she heard the words, and her beautiful eyes were also filled with light and anticipation. "Senior sister, do you think you want to write poetry? So you write poetry? I'm not one of those talented people who read poetry and books. I have to practice with you every day, so I don't have much time for reading." Meng Xing said. "I think you are deliberately rejecting it." Xiao Yuluo snorted. "It's okay to write poetry. However, if you want to make me a table of delicious food, 10 dishes and 1 soup, you can't do anything less." Meng Xing said. "Poems made easily are worthless, and senior sister Xiao has to pay some price." Meng Xing has an abacus in his heart. "Everyone has a fair deal, so that you can come and go, otherwise it will be boring." Xiao Yuluo had a smile on his face and said, "Okay, you wrote a good poem, and I will make a table of good dishes for you to eat. Then it's settled. Take out the pen, ink, paper, and inkstone." Meng Xing said. "I'll get it." Xiao Yuluo left the pavilion. At this time, the courtyard door opened, and a handsome young man stepped in, walked into the pavilion, saw Lu Xiyun, and said, "Lu Shimei, so you are really here." Lu Xiyun nodded, his expression indifferent, and said, "Brother Yao, what are you looking for from me?" The fair and jade-like melon seed face still reveals a sense of coldness, which is not only beautiful and refined, but also reveals a noble temperament. The handsome young man said, "I'm fine. I just heard that you and a junior brother are talking about poetry and Taoism here, so I wanted to come and listen to it. I have gained a lot of knowledge, and I also met this talented junior brother. By the way," he glanced at Meng Xing with some cold and arrogant eyes, and said, "This is junior brother Meng who wrote poems at Uxian restaurant. That poem is just a show of ugliness." The younger brother thinks that he is not talented enough to learn, which makes the younger brother laugh. Meng Xing said, "My name is Yao Jianyu, you should know." The handsome young man introduced himself. Quite arrogant. It turned out to be senior brother Yao, who has already been accepted as a true disciple by the Peak Master. "The first time we met, senior brother Yao was indeed a dragon and a phoenix, much stronger than our outer disciples," Meng Xing said. The handsome young Yao Jianyu's expression froze. This guy is actually seeing him for the first time, and he can't even recognize him. This shows that his image has not reached the level that Jianke Peak is well known, and his influence is still too small. It seemed that this junior fellow had to know how to behave properly. Yao Jianyu also had some regrets. He knew that junior sister Lu liked to write poetry. In order to make junior sister Lu look at him, he would go outside and search for some poems for Lu Xiyun to appreciate. But the poems I found this time turned out to be written by an outer sect junior www.readwn.com, and Lu Shimei also happened to know that she was very fond of this outer sect junior and sometimes even went to the outer sect junior. Talk about poetry and calligraphy. When Yao Jianyu heard this, he suddenly felt like he had shot himself in the foot, feeling that he had done something very stupid. It is really unbearable to let her communicate with other people after trying to communicate with the junior sister without success. Yao Jianyu sat down, saw Meng Xing sitting in front of the guqin, and said, "Junior brother Meng still plays the qin." "A little bit," Meng Xing said. But Lu Xiyun said, "Junior brother Meng's piano sound is superb. The song Liang Zhu just now is really touching. Even junior sister Xiao is ashamed." Yao Jianyu's face was a little ugly. Junior sister Lu praised this guy's piano skills so much. He wanted to see if he could embarrass him. At this time, Xiao Yuluo walked in, saw Yao Jianyu, and said strangely, "Brother Yao, why are you here? Well, let's watch junior sister Lu and junior brother Meng talk about poetry and Taoism, and they will gain a lot of insight. Yao Jianyu resisted the unpleasant look on his face and said, "Oh, just right, junior brother Meng is going to compose a poem. Senior brother Yao, your knowledge is not low. Please give him a comment later to see how he does it," Xiao Yuluo said. With that said, Xiao Yuluo placed the pen, ink, paper, and inkstone on the table and began to study ink. Yao Jianyu's heart moved. Writing poetry? I want to see if this guy can do it. Anyway, just give him a bad review later. He naturally knows that even a person who has read poetry and books, it is not so easy to write poetry. As long as it is a little flawed, it may be laughable and generous. At this moment, naturally, I want to see Meng Xing's good show. Chapter 47 gives goosebumps. Yao Jianyu poured himself a cup of tea, but no one poured it for him, so he had to do it himself. He took a sip from the teacup and said, "Meng's Hidi, it is very difficult to write poetry. Even a student in the capital who is full of poetry and books would not dare to say that he can write a good poem. Probably very few. I know a great Confucian scholar in the capital who has read poetry and books. I can introduce him to my younger brother. If I communicate with him a lot, maybe it will be easier for my younger brother to write poetry." The implication is that you can't write poetry. You are still very tender, and you should read more poetry and books with the great scholars, so don't make a fool of yourself here. Lu Xiun nodded. In fact, what Brother Yao said was quite reasonable. I am afraid that Meng Xing has already spent a lot of time and effort to write a night poem. If he wants to write a poem in a short period of time, with Meng Xing's knowledge, I am afraid it will be difficult. How can people who learn martial arts compare to those students who are immersed in books all day long? Therefore, she is not very hopeful about Meng Xing's ability to write good poetry. She just wanted to see Meng Xing's calligraphy. This unique thin gold body, when connected together, looked like a beautiful picture, which fascinated her very much. Yao Jianyu was instantly complacent, and it seemed that junior sister Lu also agreed with him. Yeah, what senior brother Yao said makes a lot of sense. In fact, it's so easy to write a poem. I was also rushing ducks to the shelves. I was forced by senior sister Xiao to insist that I write poems. Wouldn't this make me embarrassed? Meng Xing agreed. Yao Jianyu was happier immediately. It turned out that this fellow was not sure about writing poetry, and it seemed that he also wanted to refuse to write poetry. Yao Jianyu said, since Master Meng has already agreed to junior sister Xiao, naturally he can't lose his words. A gentleman's words are hard to catch up with. I'll give you a review later. If it's really bad, I can take my junior brother to the capital to talk to that person. The great Confucian learns a lot, and that great Confucian is definitely willing to accept junior brother Meng as his disciple. Well, as long as this junior brother Meng is turned off, junior sister Lu will not ask him for some poetry in the future. Yao Jianyu felt that he had thought of a good idea, and his mood suddenly became happy. Okay, thank you senior brother Yao. Senior brother Yao is really a good person. He really is a dragon and a phoenix among people. He also shows the demeanor of cultivating Tianjiao in his work. Meng Xingdao. Yao Jianyu's gloomy face suddenly dissipated. This junior brother Meng really knew how to speak, a dragon and a phoenix among people, and he had to learn from him. However, after a while, it is time to suppress this junior brother Meng, and it is still necessary to suppress him. After all, junior sister Lu also admires his talent and learning. It is necessary for junior sister to recognize the talent and learning level of junior brother Meng, and that's all. The last time I wrote a good poem, I'm afraid it was because the blind cat met a dead mouse, or he paid special money to buy a poem, just to pretend to be a saint in front of people. He is still very clear about the activities of a scholar. Xiao Yuluo polished the ink, glanced at Meng Xing, who was still sitting there drinking tea slowly, and smiled. Mr. Meng, you can come to write a poem. Have you thought about the poem? Let me think about it again. Meng Xing said. The verses that I had learned in my previous life flowed in my mind. Looking at the two jade men in front of me, they were both stunning women with refined temperament, like a fairy, which was really pleasing to the eye. With that, you can write this poem. Meng Xing suddenly had an idea. The two women also looked at Meng Xing strangely, wondering why he was looking at them. Could it be possible to write poetry like this? The two senior sisters are stunning women, like fairies in the sky. Well, let's take the stunning looks of the two senior sisters as the title. I thought of a poem, Meng Xing said. When he came to the desk, he picked up a writing brush and wrote 3 words Qing Ping Tiao. Then start writing verses. Yun wants to look like clothes and flowers, and the spring breeze blows on the threshold to reveal Hualong. If it hadn't been seen on the top of Cunyu Mountain, I would have met Yao Tai under the moon. The poem is completed, and the pen is put on hold. Xiao Yuluo and Lu Xiyun came to look at them, and their hearts were shocked, as if a dragon Bal and Dolly were bombarded in their minds. Although Xiao Yuluo doesn't understand poetry, he still has the ability to appreciate. He often reads books to increase his knowledge. Naturally, she knew the beauty of this poem, and couldn't help but secretly rejoiced. It turned out that she was so beautiful, and she was still a peerless fairy. However, Lu Xiyun was completely obsessed with poetry. When he was bored, he would also write poems to show Xiao Yuluo, his junior sister. At this moment, she was stunned, and her mind was completely filled with the artistic conception described by this poem. It seems that there is a stunning fairy, in the mountains of Jade, under the moon of Yaotai, came to her, and this stunning fairy turned out to be herself. Refined, elegant but not flattering, it is simply a peerless poem describing beauty like jade. Although Lu Xiyun knew that she was beautiful, she had no idea how beautiful she was, and she didn't care at all. Yao Jianyu and other brothers and sisters also praised her for her stunning looks, but it was only those few words that made her tired of hearing it. Now that she has read this poem, she knows how beautiful she is. She came back to her senses, glanced at Xiao Yuluo, and sighed secretly. It's a pity that this poem describes the two of them as beautiful, which shows that in Meng Xing's mind, they are comparable. If Meng Xing had done so well for her alone, now, he had to share it with Xiao Yuluo. When others mention this poem, they will definitely mention her and Xiao Yuluo, not just her. Lu Xiyun originally had no hope for Meng Xing to write poetry, because every time she talked about poetry, Meng Xing was perfunctory and dealt with things. Although she didn't say anything, she still felt it. However, she was not dissatisfied. After all, Meng Xing was so young, only 18 years old, and cultivating at Jianke Peak. He was definitely not as good as those students who were full of poetry and books. But now Meng Xing has composed such an exquisite poem in a short period of time, but it makes her feel that this junior brother Meng, Yuyukansha www.yuyukansha.com must be clumsy, or he doesn't care about her at all and just wants to perfunctory thing. She glanced at Xiao Yuluo, and suddenly understood that what Meng Xing cared more about was probably the senior sister Xiao who treated him better. Although Xiao Yuluo's appearance is a little worse than hers, in Meng Xing's mind, the senior sister Xiao is also a peerless fairy who can be compared with her. Otherwise, why did Xiao Yuluo ask him to write poetry, and he agreed so easily? And she asked Meng Xing to talk about poetry, and the other party perfunctory? Maybe she still got Xiao Yuluo's light. Thinking of this, Lu Xiyun felt a little uneasy in his heart, and glanced at Meng Xing with a bit of resentment. There are several question marks. In Meng Xing's mind, what kind of look is this? Yao Jianyu also came over to take a look. First of all, the thin gold font made him feel extremely good looking. The calligraphy of this junior and junior brother was unique, and it was better than those written by many scholars. After reading the verse again carefully, he was also stunned. This is entirely a verse touting the beauty of the two junior sisters, and it is also touted as fresh and refined, without a hint of firework at all. I don't know how many times stronger than the words he said every day. Junior sister, you are very beautiful. Junior sister, you are so beautiful. Junior sister, you are the most beautiful person in our Jinyu sect. It makes people feel that this is the most noble person compliment. It just made people get goosebumps and couldn't help trembling all over. Yao Jianyu also asked some scholars who were full of poetry and books to be gunmen, and asked him to write a poem describing junior sister Liu's peerless appearance, which he prepared to dedicate to junior sister Liu, but when he read it, it was simply and appalling. Yao Jianyu digs every word carefully, trying to find out any flaws. He read it over and over again, his forehead sweating, and he couldn't figure out where the flaws were. Chapter 48, Sister, you are unparalleled in charm. Xiao Yuluo smiled happily. Meng Xing compared her to a fairy, which made her feel very happy. After all, She was not a white-eyed wolf, and she did not waste her teaching him to practice for so long. Seeing Yao Jianyu looking at the poem intently, as if savoring it, she asked, "Brother Yao, what do you think of this poem?" Yao Jianyu hesitated for a while, then said with a little trembling, "Naturally, it's naturally very good, riding the two junior sisters like fairies in the sky." But Yao Jianyu still wanted to find out something wrong. But what? The smile on Xiao Yuluo's face was like a blooming peony flower, looking gorgeous and charming, with a good mood. Meng Xing wrote such a good poem, and she also wrote it for her. She is naturally honored. However, Yao Jianyu glanced at Lu Xiyun, gritted his teeth, and said, "Junior brother Meng's writing is still a bit kitsch." In order to please the two junior sisters, he did everything he could, using beautiful and enchanting words. Lu Xiyun and Xiao Yuluo's faces froze immediately. They were clearly beautiful and refined, but not kitsch at all. But senior brother Yao said that it was a bit kitsch, and in order to please them, he would do anything to please them? How did Meng Xing please them? Why is it so useless? How can you use the words beautiful and enchanting? The two women were suddenly a little angry, and Lu Xiyun gave Yao Jianyu a disappointed look. Senior brother Yao was clearly jealous that junior brother Meng wrote so well, so he was nitpicking. Yao Jianyu was stunned for a moment, but he returned to his seat and took a sip of the teacup. Meng Xing was stunned for a moment, shook his head, and suddenly understood in his heart that this senior brother was trying to suppress himself. However, how can this poem, which has been sung through the ages, be so easily suppressed? The discerning person can easily see the charm of this poem, the subtlety of the words, the ingenious metaphor, the catchy, the flat rhyme, and the full of artistic conception. How could it be kitsch? Lu Xiyun's face was grim and he said, "Senior brother Yao, although I am not talented enough, I can still tell the difference between good and bad. I don't know how kitsch is in this poem. Brother Yao knows a great scholar in the capital, so you can ask him to comment. Let's take a look at this poem. Or, let the great Confucian compose a poem with a better tone than this one, and let me taste it, or you can invite some students who have read poetry books to taste it." Yao Jianyu's expression suddenly froze. He knew that this junior sister was annoyed, and he felt a little panic in his heart. However, the words have already been spoken and cannot be taken back. If he goes back on his word, it will appear that he is deliberately suppressing Meng Xing. He had to bite the bullet and said, "Okay, junior sister, I'm also ignorant, so I may have made a wrong evaluation. If I go to the capital, I will definitely ask the great Confucian I know to evaluate it." After sitting for a while, clearly feeling the indifference of the two junior sisters towards him and the enthusiasm towards Meng Xing, Yao Jianyu couldn't sit still, so he had to excuse himself, stood up, and prepared to leave the yard. Meng Xing said enthusiastically, "Senior brother Yao, when will you introduce that great Confucian scholar to me? My brother is not well educated. I would like to discuss more poetry with him, and maybe I can write better poems." "Talk about shit? You are so powerful, and if we discuss it further, junior sister Lu will follow you." Yao Jianyu was depressed and cursed inwardly. "Today, I wanted to suppress Meng Xing well, but I didn't expect it to be messed up. Instead, I left a bad impression in front of junior sister Lu. It was all because of this guy. That Confucian scholar is in the capital. When the younger brother went to the capital, I'll help you recommend it." Yao Jianyu took a deep breath and said, "Okay, thank you senior brother." "Senior brother walk slowly. Senior sister Xiao is ready to give us something to eat, but unfortunately senior brother can't eat it," Meng Xing said. Yao Jianyu almost stumbled, but just wanted to breathe out the fragrance. Junior sister Lu still wants to stay here to eat with this guy? Isn't this an opportunity to create intimacy for them? If I had known this earlier, I might as well just bite the bullet and stay. Anyway, it can prevent the two of them from getting too close. However, since the words have already been said, it is naturally not good for him to stay and leave a bad impression on junior sister Lu. The bitter fruit you sowed, no matter how bitter it is, you have to swallow it yourself. Yao Jianyu had to leave even more depressed. Xiao Yuluo looked at Meng Xing and said with a smile, "You have already composed a good poem. I will make a table of delicious food now, and I will reward you." "Thank you, sister." Xiao Yuluo stood up and went to the kitchen to cook by himself. The courtyard suddenly became quiet, and Lu Xiyun looked at Meng Xing, only to feel that the atmosphere was a little weird. Yoon thinks about clothes and flowers, and the spring breeze blows on the threshold to reveal Hualong. Junior brother Meng, how did you come up with these verses? It's really wonderful. Lu Xiun broke the silence and said, I am just a porter of poetry, not mine. You are really a good student who is diligent in studying. Why don't you go to the female champion? Meng Xing complained in his heart. He said, there is only one trick, read, and read again. However, you don't seem to be reading a lot. You still have practice homework every day, you seem to have to go to the dining hall to chop wood every day, right? Why do you have so much time? Lu Xiun said. Well, I sent out the 3 questions of the soul, and the question fell to me. Meng Xing was speechless. He wrote a poem and had 100,000 Ys. The lights are on at the 3rd watch and the chicken is on the 5th watch. It's when the man is studying. Meng Xing said casually, so, I read at night every day. At the 3rd watch and the 5th watch. The lights are on at 3 nights and the chickens are on the 5th night. It's when the man is studying. Lu Xiun's eyes lit up. This poem of persuasion is very well written. What's next? Below? Here's the food. Meng Xing muttered to himself, black hair doesn't know how to study early, but white hair regrets studying late. Not bad, not bad. This poem of persuasion to study is simply deafening. www.readwn.com. It is no wonder that the younger brother has achieved such success at such a young age. It turned out that he read it every night with the lights on, and also composed this good poem based on his own insights. Poetry is the ambition. Lu Xiun's eyes shone with light. If this poem is spread out, junior brother will become famous in the scholarly forest. I'm just talking nonsense. Do you really believe it? Believe it or not, I don't need to explain it anymore. Meng Xing thought to himself. Meng Xing smiled slightly, raised the teacup, and took a sip of tea. Junior brother, write this poem. How about you sell it to me? 100 taels of silver. Lu Xiun said with fiery eyes. Deal. Meng Xing said. Senior sister is a little rich woman. If you don't make money, you can't make money. You can easily make 100 taels by just writing and writing. Why not do it? Lu Xiun took out a 100 tael silver note, and Meng Xing immediately put it away without changing his face. Meng Xing then spread another piece of rice paper on the table, and Lu Xiun helped to research the ink. Her beautiful face revealed a hint of seriousness, just like a beautiful and bright plum blossom standing proudly in the snow, cool and glamorous. Contains an attractive charm. One as if you can't see senior sister Lu, swipe ink. Second, said to senior sister Lu, senior sister, you are unparalleled in charm, can you give me a kiss? 3 immediately stepped up to indecently, put red lips together, and kissed 3 times. Meng Xing was shocked. This system won't detect my intentions, right? The trigger option actually made me choose. However, the 2nd and 3rd items are completely driving me in the direction of death. The speed is too fast, and it may be counterproductive. Meng Xing decisively chose the 1st item, silently reciting the meditation mantra and swishing ink. The task has been completed. Get a random reward. Strength +1. Chapter 49. Discuss the white man stroke by stroke, word by word, appeared on the rice paper like a dragon flying and phoenix dancing, and every word carried a charm. Meng Xing's calligraphy in the previous life was not so good looking. Since he passed through, he seems to have continued some of the original master's abilities. Nearly a quarter of an hour later, the writing of this persuasive poem was completed, and the font on the rice paper seemed to be a picture, which was pleasing to the eye. Lu Xiun stared at Meng Xing's writing movements. Every time he swiped ink, Meng Xing seemed to reveal a refined temperament of a calligraphy master. Match. At this time, he seems to have become particularly attractive. For a moment, Lu Xiun was a little lost. After Meng Xing sat down and took a sip of the teacup, she regained her senses and continued to appreciate the verse, reciting it softly. After all, this poem was written for her by the younger brother. Well, although she also paid 100 taels of silver, this junior brother seems to be a little bit of a fortune fan. As she admired it, she thought to herself. After half an hour, Xiao Yuluo made the meal, and when he came back, he was surprised to see the verses on the desk. Junior brother, you are really amazing, and you actually wrote a peerless poem. I like these 2 paintings very much, but senior sister Lu also likes them very much, so let her Just write 2 more for me. I will frame them and hang them in the hall. Xiao Yuluo said. I can sell this one for 100 taels, okay? Senior sister Xiao, you gave it to senior sister Lu in vain, saving her 100 taels. Moreover, you seem to regard yourself as a mistress, and you are not polite to me. Meng Xing muttered in his heart. Okay. He nodded. Lu Xiun glanced at him with beautiful eyes, but said nothing. Go, let's go eat. When I came to the dining room next to the kitchen, there were already 10 dishes and 1 soup on the table. 3 people sat down, and a maid came to serve. This was also the only maid in the yard, Xiaoqing. Meng Xing picked up the chopsticks and started to eat. While eating, he praised that the food cooked by senior sister Xiao was full of flavor and taste, and it was not bad compared to the food at Yuxian restaurant. Hearing Meng Xing's praise, Xiao Yuluo was also very happy, and occasionally served him vegetables. After eating and drinking, Meng Xing returned to the pavilion and wrote 2 poems for Xiao Yuluo. Seeing that it was getting dark, he left here. Lu Xiun and Xiao Yuluo were left sitting in the pavilion and chatting. Junior sister, what do you think of Meng Xing? Lu Xiun took a sip of tea and asked casually. Except for the general practice, everything else is very good. The piano skills, poetry, and calligraphy are all excellent. I don't know how to play chess. He is also very smart and good at making decisions. Xiao Yuluo smiled. Good at making decisions. Lu Xiun was a little puzzled. Last time I went to the bottom of the mountain with him for training, and he solved a murder case. He and Li Buxian went to Changning County twice for training, and I heard from Li Buxian that it was because of junior brother Meng's intelligence that he found the man from the Demon Gate and learned about Yunyu Zong's conspiracy. The second time, he found a monster mutant spider, and with a clever strategy, he personally killed the monster equivalent to the god refining realm, and made a great contribution. Xiao Yuluo was a little surprised. It was only then that Lu Xiun understood that Meng Xing had done a great job in the beheading of the monster in Changning County last time. Although she heard about it at the time, she didn't listen carefully and didn't know the specific details. She only thought about how to ask Meng Xing to teach calligraphy and poetry, and was not interested in other things about him. And Meng Xing didn't publicize the matter. He just took it lightly and didn't seem to care. It seems that I still have a lot of things I don't know about this junior brother Meng, and junior sister Xiao is so devoted to him, and she doesn't look down on him because of her self-esteem, so it's no wonder that she is liked by him. Lu Xiun thought in her heart, and only felt that the image of this junior brother Meng seemed to be getting taller and taller in her mind. Senior sister, what do you think of Meng Xing? Xiao Yuluo asked with joy. Yeah, not bad. Poetry, and calligraphy are also good. He is a talented scholar. If he is a real scholar, he will definitely be the champion easily. Lu Xiun also said, not stingy with his own praise. Xiao Yuluo was even more happy, and only felt that there was honor and yan. The better junior brother Meng was, the better it would show that she had the right vision and did not see the wrong person. Meng Xing picked up a wave of wool outside, then returned to his residence, took out his silver note from the small copper, and counted his money. Selling paintings and calligraphy made a total of 250 taels, of which 200 taels belonged to senior sister Lu. There was always a feeling of prostituting her money for nothing. There are 400 taels of rewards from the Changning County Government Office, adding up to a total of 650 taels. Not bad, not bad. He is already a little rich man. With these 600 taels, he should be able to buy a mansion in the inner city of the capital. I didn't expect to come to this world. It is still easy to make money, which is better than the blessing of 996, and you don't have to work hard every day. Having power is equal to having money, and you don't have to worry about losing your job. Taking the money back into the small copper space, Meng Xing took out the strange flower tree and teased it for a while, enjoying the caress of the colorful leaves, as if he had the feeling of being massaged by a young lady in a high-level club in his previous life. Relax. Meng Xing has some doubts. Does this flower tree have the effect of calming the mind? Can you let go of distractions? Shouldn't the more massage, the more anger? Cough cough. Think more. Meng Xing took the flower tree back to the small copper space, lay on the couch, and dreamed of making a fortune. In a boudoir, 3 beautiful women were sitting on the edge of the desk, all propping their cheeks with their hands, watching the candles in the middle of the table emit a misty light. Luo Yao said, "Since Bai Xia came to our Jianke Peak last time, he has disappeared without a sound. I went down the mountain to inquire, and there is no news of Bai Xia." Yeswalian pouted and said, "Senior sister, how are you doing in the inner door area?" Zhou Ruoqing asked. "Boring. In addition to cultivating every day, everyone is working hard. www.readwn.com. It is better to be an outer disciple, and there is not so much pressure." Luo Yao said. "Hey, say, when can we see Bai Xia? I dream of him every day." Luo Yao looked bored. It seemed that only news of Bai Xia could arouse her interest. "Last time we went to Changning County to kill monsters, we actually wanted to see if we could see Bai Xia. Who knew that Bai Xia didn't show up at all, so I'm really disappointed," Yeswalian said. "Otherwise, let's go down the mountain to practice and see if we can see Bai Xia," Luo Yao suggested. "Yes," Yeswalian agreed. "Junior sister Ruoqing, what do you think?" Luo Yao asked. "Our cultivation base is not enough, and we need a Dharma protector to lead the way down the mountain. Moreover, I think Meng Xing can also go there. In the event of danger, Meng Xing will definitely find a way to save us," Zhou Ruoqing said in a gentle voice. "Meng Xing, don't go. Although he killed the monster by cleverness last time, he still had the help of senior brother Ding, senior brother Gu, senior brother Li and us. We are also a burden." Luo Yao frowned and said, "When she thinks of Meng Xing, she doesn't like it very much. Although she is a little clever, her strength is not enough. If she encounters a real strong person, his little cleverness is useless at all. Although he can solve the case, but that's it, the future development will definitely be limited. Well, let's go to Senior Brotherly and let Senior Brotherly be our Dharma protector. Let's go down the mountain to practice and inquire about Bai Xia's news." Luo Yao came to a conclusion. "Okay," Yeswalian nodded. Although Zhou Ruoqing wanted to object, she knew that Luo Yao's mind would not change easily, so she had to agree. Chapter 50, Disappeared. The next day, 3 women found Li Buxian and asked him to be a Dharma protector and go down the mountain to practice. Yang Xiaochui also followed. After Meng Xing got up, he went to chop wood. Zhang Suntu, the head of the dining hall, nodded and bowed every time he saw him, showing no respect. Meng Xing remembered what happened to the original owner, and wanted to beat him again, but he kept his tail between his legs, and he couldn't find a reason to shoot. Zhang Sandu has been bitter in his heart. This man has enough cultivation, he doesn't even become an inner disciple, but he has to stay in the outer disciple area, and he has to stay in his broken place to chop firewood. Come hack. Moreover, Meng Xing's strength is obviously similar to that of the second-order condensation realm. Why is the cultivation base displayed on his body always around the 5th order of the open pulse realm? Why does he hide his power? There seems to be a mystery hidden in this guy. Xiao Yuluo also came to Meng Xing almost every day. He was very fond of Meng Xing and seems to take good care of him. Zhang Suntu was even more jealous. How could this guy be favored by the goddess? God is so unfair. In this way, he no longer dared to offend Meng Xing. You must know that the force behind Xiao Yuluo is the law enforcement hall. Once Xiao Yuluo is annoyed, he might get out of the way. If there is no true martial sect covering him, Meng Xing might kill him at any time. When he remembered what he had done with Meng Xing before, he also regretted it, and he could only swallow the bitter fruit he had made. It's really 30 years in Hedong, 30 years in Hexi. Don't bully the poor young man. At the beginning, he bullied him, but now he has the strength to bully him back, and he can even make him eat his head. Senior Sister Lu. Senior Sister Lu, hello. Senior Sister Lu, are you coming to this dining hall for breakfast too? The disciples who had breakfast in the dining hall greeted each other. Zhang Suntu, who was in a daze, was suddenly startled, and when he looked up, he saw an eye-catching and stunning woman walking in and sitting at a table. It was Lu Xiun, the most powerful Tianjiao among all the inner disciples of Jianke Peak. It was said that he had become the true disciple of the Peak Master. He was as famous as Yao Jianyu, and the two of them had become the most dazzling stars in Jianke Peak. Since Lu Xiun became a disciple of the inner sect, he had never been to this dining hall at all, but he didn't expect to come here now. The dining hall also seemed to become brighter all of a sudden because of her presence. She seemed to emit a ray of light, illuminating the entire dining hall, attracting everyone's attention, and even the atmosphere became lively. Zhang Sandu was immediately excited, and as the general manager of the dining hall, he hurried over to entertain the other party. "Give me a bowl of porridge, an egg, and a bun," Lu Xiyun said. Zhang Sandu immediately asked the guy to bring it. "By the way, what about Meng Xing?" Lu Xiyun asked. "He is chopping firewood in the backyard," Zhang Sandu said, surprised that Lu Xiyun came to find Meng Xing. When did Meng Xing know her? This Meng Xing only knew Xiao Yuluo, but now even Lu Xiyun knew him. He really flew into the sky. "Okay, I'll go to him after breakfast," Lu Xiyun said. Zhang Sandu left wisely and sat not far away, glancing at Lu Xiyun from time to time. After Lu Xiyun finished eating breakfast, he went straight to the backyard. Soon, he saw Meng Xing following her, sitting at a table with her, and the two started talking. Meng Xing's expression was calm, with only a slight smile on his face. He seemed to be very familiar with Lu Xiyun. What made Zhang Sandu even more stunned was that Lu Xiyun had a smile on his icy face, and seemed to be having a good time talking. "Very good." Zhang Sandu heard something faintly, and he seemed to be talking about poetry and calligraphy. Then, he saw Lu Xiyun took out a stack of rice paper, which was full of words, and asked Meng Xing for advice. Meng Xing also pointed and said some questions. The two people sat together, and the closer they got, it was like a couple. This made Zhang Sandu feel jealous. This kid is really blessed, it's just that he got so close to Xiao Yuluo, and now he's the same with Lu Xiyun. After half an hour, Lu Xiyun left, and Meng Xing continued to chop wood in the backyard. Zhang Sandu couldn't help rubbing his eyes. He felt that there was something wrong with the style of painting he just saw. One was a noble and beautiful woman, and the other was a low-ranking disciple of chopping wood. Why did they come together? It seems that this Meng Xing is really good. As long as he shows his cultivation, maybe the peak master will accept him as a true disciple. Zhang Sandu felt that he had to pick up his tail and be a human being, otherwise he might not know how he would die. This kid's strength is so strong and his background is so big, he can't afford to offend him at all. God is so unfair. Meng Xing was also a little helpless. He was chopping wood well, but Lu Xiyun even came to disturb him. In the past, she would ask her out through Xiao Yuluo, but now it's better. She didn't say hello, and came to her directly, regardless of her status as a disciple of Tianjiao. Sure enough, it's not good to be too conspicuous. It's the gold that shines everywhere. He chopping firewood in a low-key manner, but he couldn't keep a low-key attitude. In this way, I am afraid that many people will know that Lu Xiyun came to the dining hall to find him. With Lu Xiyun's reputation and attention, it may spread throughout the entire Jianke Peak in half an hour. Senior sister, you are hurting junior brother and me? I'm afraid many people will say that I have had a bad luck to get the attention of senior sister Lu. Meng Xing complained in his heart. It seems that I need to be more low-key in the future, and my low-key development plan cannot be broken. After chopping firewood for an hour, Meng Xing went down the mountain to brush the system. Jianke Peak Conference Hall. The Peak Master Mo Ziyuan held a meeting. In addition to the elders, he specially invited a few disciples with strong cultivation bases to attend. Yao Jianyu, Lu Xiyun, Xiao Yuluo, Gu Qingzhou, and others were naturally among them. Elderly, what happened to Xia Huey and that demon girl? Have you found out any news about them? Mo Ziyuan asked seriously. Since they escaped, they have disappeared, and Yu reading www.yuukangsha.com can't find it. We have searched the entire Guangyang County, and we have not found these two thieves. And the Unisex the sect master also disappeared without a trace. Li Gufei, the head of the law enforcement hall, shook his head and said. Mo Ziyuan frowned and said, if you can't find them, you have to look for them. You have to find them all. Send out all the inner disciples whose cultivation level is above the condensation stage, and those who are in the spirit refinement stage. In the early days, the elders all went down the mountain to find people. They raised soldiers for 1,000 days and used them for a while. At this time, it's time to use people. We can't let everyone stay at Jianke Peak and just focus on practicing behind closed doors. This matter, the Human Resource Hall will carry out the implementation, and the Supervision Hall will also help to monitor it. The Law Enforcement Hall is still doing its best to investigate, as the main force. Yes, I will listen to the Peak Master's orders. The elders of each hall stood up and said with their hands folded, "Also, have you found the information about that white man? Where is this person from? What was the purpose of coming to my Jianka Peak last time?" Mo Ziyuan asked again. "Peak Master, Bai Xia has also disappeared, and I can't find it at all, and there is no information about this person on the rivers and lakes. This person seems to have appeared out of thin air, and no one knows what he wants to do," Li Gufei said helplessly. Gu Qingzhou stood up, saluted respectfully, and said, "Peak Master, I think Bai Xia is a friend rather than an enemy. He saved more than a dozen of us last time, and he is very kind to us. I am afraid that he came to our Jianka Peak simply to help us. Let's find out the evildoer of the red-clothed demon sect." Bai Xia, Yao Jianyu and Lu Xiun looked at each other in confusion. When did this character appear in the arena? But they also understood that the person who roared out a lion's roar last night was a man named Bai Xia. As for Xiao Yuluo, she was not surprised. She had already heard Li Buxian, Luo Yao and others talking about it.